Hello, it's Molly Reamer with Bridget's Grove and 30 Days of Goddess with this week's 5 to 7 minute mini ritual. And from Woman Runes this week, we received the Circle, which is the rune of the self, beginnings, potential, and innocence. And when I saw this rune, I thought of the idea that I think I got from Sarah Ben Branthenach, but possibly somebody else, about fall resolutions. Like, it's not, I think sometimes we divide the year into perhaps not enough small chunks. There's another book called The 12-Week Year, where he advocates actually breaking the year down into like 4 12-week mini years to avoid that rush and scramble that so many people do at the end of the year, as well as the over optimistic kind of over planning that people do at the beginning of the year. So they make all these plans because a year is both a long time and it's a short time. And so people make big plans at the beginning of the year, and then by the time they get to about September or October, they suddenly are pedal to the metal trying to finish everything because they haven't done it all. And so this reminds me that we always have the chance to begin. This rune reminds me that we always have the chance to begin again, and that perhaps it is time to think about your fall resolutions for the last quarter of the year. Like, what's remaining on your to-do list, whether literal or metaphorical? What are your priorities? What do you really want to see happen before this year is over? And perhaps reaffirm and recommit and re-intend to some of those things. So it's always time to begin again. It's also the rune of the self, and I am thinking a lot about how we bring ourselves back to center. So a feeling of centeredness, but also sourcing from center, like coming from our center as we move through the day. I spoke in another video about wanting to bring my, daily practice best self forward into the rest of the day instead of just in the mornings. And so I think this reminds us, like, what would happen if you were at the center of your own life? Like, what would happen if you recentered your attention, your time, your energy? What would happen if you recentered it into center? Not about being self-centered or self-absorbed, but rather coming from a place of centeredness, coming from a place of center where you are, in fact, at the center of your own life rather than saved for the margins. And then from that resourced base of centeredness, how might you expand outward to do good work for others, for the planet, for the work that's coming from your own soul. So I wanted to mention that. And then that actually kind of reminds me, I'm going to jump to our little assist from the new oh my goodness, I forgot what they're called already. Animal medicine cards? I'll have to put it in the comments or put it in the description. But we got this lion with the message of "it's in you." And this description drew upon the cowardly lion in The Wizard of Oz and how the courage really was in him all the time. So the message from this card is that whatever it is that you are seeking, whatever it is that you are looking for and think you need to find, what happens if you consider the fact that it might be in you already? What if it's already in you? What if you already are courageous and loving and strong and powerful and magical? What if it's already in you, in the circle of the self, and it just needs to be tapped into and drawn out? And then from our I'm knocking everything down. From our Cut Your Own expansions for 30 Days of Goddess for September, I chose a word card and we got savor. So may you savor this richness of your life. May you savor this last quarter of the year, this season that we're in right now. May you savor the good things that you delight in your life. And then I picked a word card from the original daily practice deck as well. Oh, and we got share, which pairs perfectly with savor, because may we savor and share the good things in our lives. May we recognize that we have enough, that there's a bounty around us, and that we have enough for us to savor and to share with others. So may you savor and share the gifts and magic of your life. And then a practice from Cut Your Own expansions as well. And there's a free set of these available from the 30daysofgoddess.com website in the Daily Practice Starter Kit. So 30daysofgoddess.com, and then you can also buy cut your own decks from me as well. And then you can also get the Daily Practice deck that's professionally printed and comes in a nice little tin and things like that. So from the practice is read the Charge of the Goddess aloud. And I was happy to see this because I memorized the Charge of the Goddess quite a few years ago when we were doing an Ariadne's Thread study group locally. And I find it so powerful to recite on the full moon if I don't have time for another type of full moon ritual, which often I focus my own family's rituals on the seasons, on the wheel of the year, the seasonal rituals. So that's what I make plans for. And then the full moon is kind of just private, personal for me. I do call my family out, particularly if it's a big orange moon. I will call them out to see it with me, and we'll all kiss our hands to the moon, and sometimes we'll offer a wish or a blessing, or we'll sing. But for the most part, the full moons are just my own observance, and I make sure to go out. I like to watch the moon rise if I can, particularly at sunset, but sometimes that doesn't always happen. And so I always make sure to go out, and then I will kiss my hand to the moon and I will recite the Charge of the Goddess. And I'm really glad I have that memorized. I have a handout version available, and I will try to make sure to link to that below as well, so that you can also memorize the Charge of the Goddess, and it gives you something that's always with you. I'm a big fan of memorizing a certain amount of things because they can always be with you, just like your breath is always with you, just like your heartbeat is always with you. Then you always have a prayer in your pocket, so to speak. And then trust your joy. So maybe that's actually can be a fairly radical practice, to trust your joy. And then a prayer to close today. I have two, one from the expansion pack for the Daily Practice deck, and then I have one from our Cut Your Own expansions. So go ahead and take a deep breath and center yourself here. Center yourself here in the moment. For a moment, allow the gentle touch of presence to uplift you. Cool wind kissing your face, earth holding your body, fire warming your center, water moving in your cells, your own self an elemental altar, your life a living prayer, one that's meant to be savored and shared as you act from center. And then from the Cut Your Own deck, this is our closing prayer. May our voices speak with courage. May our hands reach out with kindness. May our hearts be kissed with awe and filled with peace. May we know both pleasure and satisfaction, strength and devotion, as we weave our own threads in the beautiful whole. So may you have a wonderful week this week, one that is touched with presence, joy, connection, savoring, and delight, as well as courage. Remember, it's all in you. Thanks so much for being here. Bye-bye.